Now then, people, and welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show, and it's time for your Premier League review show, the final whistle. We've got loads to get through tonight, loads of talking points, obviously, not least Conte rocking up at Spurs. We've got some chat on some terrible refereeing decisions. We're going to have a chat about, obviously, my boy Conor Gallagher. As per, once a week, we have to fit him in somewhere. Are Leeds going to get relegated, or are we now out of that relegation dogfight? And of course, we'll do a little bit on Arsenal, Leicester, and yeah, Spurs, Man United, and that's where we'll start. We'll come straight to you. We won't do the rounds. Everyone's doing well. Everyone had positive results this weekend, bar Henry. So we're going to start with Henry, obviously, beating Spurs 3-0.
Yeah.
However, you've now found yourself in a situation where Ollie's staying. And Spurs are now going to get Conte, which is what most Man United fans wanted, Henry. So how are you feeling after this weekend, pal?
Oh, as you just mentioned, kind of mixture of emotions, really. Just frustrated more than anything. And don't get me wrong, I want my team to win games. I'll always want United to win games, regardless of the managerial situation. I'll always want us to win games. But the irony of it was that he went to a 5 at the back, a 3 in midfield and a 2 up top, and that's primarily Antonio Conte's system. And he goes and beats Spurs, who are now going to go and get Conte. And it's just like, I don't know, I'm baffled. I'm staggered. The board persisted after the Liverpool game. They decided that, obviously, from their point of view, it was the right call. But it's going to be a wait for United fans to see when we mathematically cannot get top 4, I think, personally. I think Conte coming in, and judging by the sounds of it, there's a guarantee of money in January there. I don't think he'd come in if there wasn't a guarantee of let's say 100 million euros. It's quite a lot of money to revamp that squad. And he'll come in, he'll bring his own players in. I think Spurs will challenge for top 4. I don't think there's any doubt about that now. They've got one of the top, probably 5 or 6 managers in the world. I don't know how they've managed it. How Levy's managed to do that, because he's had an absolute shocker recently. So I guess he's had to kind of pull his finger out and realise that they're in a bit of a shocking situation, and they've got to do something big, or they're the ownership's in trouble there. So yeah, there's definitely frustration from my point of view, where we're stuck with Solskjaer. Now we're stuck with him until we mathematically can't get top 4. And if he doesn't get top 4 with this team, wow, you have to be a pretty bad manager.
Do you look at that now then, Henry? And I look at the other teams that are supposed to finish within the top 4 this season. Obviously, I include Man United in that, but you've mentioned there that you fancy Spurs to get in. I was going to ask Corey a little bit later on, is there a shout West Ham could get in there? I think it's worth having that discussion. I know we're only 10 games in, but do you see you being the casualty then, Henry, looking at it? Because for me, I wouldn't, like Liverpool, Chelsea and City are definitely getting it, whatever happens, aren't they? So are you the casualty of that then?
Yeah, the 5-3-2 formation won't last. It just won't. Teams will pick us apart, and there's no doubt in my mind that that's just putting a plaster over an open wound. It'll only last there for so long, and I think West Ham have got to be in the conversation now, especially with the situation they're in. They're looking like they're not going to stop, and obviously you will go over little ruts in the season, little bumps. I think you, like, in terms of West Ham, you might need a little bit of investment in January just to make sure that you're going to get that top 4 or 5 space. Just because it's down to depth then at the end of the season. I think we'll still be in the conversation until relatively late. But results like losing at home to Villa and drawing to Everton and losing to Leicester, those are sides that are on poor, runs of form at the moment. Looking at the state of Villa at the moment, and we lost to that team, so it's worrying. And he's going to have to switch to a back 4 at some point. He'll have to, and things will come unstuck. I have no doubt about that, because we could go on a 10-game winning streak, and then we could lose 5 in a row. That's what kind of side this team is, with a manager that. It's DNA and vibes, as many people have said recently.
DNA and vibes. I love that. I absolutely love that. Just to get the general feeling amongst the rest of us. Agal, would you go along with Henry and say that Spurs have a shot? Because I know you don't like Spurs. You're obviously been an Arsenal fan, but you always said, even when they were doing well at points, like, nah, this is what Spurs do. They'll always fall off. Are you concerned about them now that they look like they're going to get Conte over the line? Or do you think the squad's just not there?
No, they're just dumb. They wasted 10 million. They should have just got him in the summer when they had the chance to get him in the summer, because now Nuno got paid 10 million, and that could have been more money to go into their transfer budget, which they don't spend much money in the first place. It doesn't just because Antonio Conte is coming in, he's not going to make Ben Davis, Eric Dyer, these guys better footballers. He's not going to make Ndembele just become a renaissance out of nowhere. Guess what they're going to do? I'm going to tell you guys now. They're going to look good until December. They're going to win every single game until December. He's going to come in and they're going to win every single game until December. Come December, when they start facing real teams and tough challenges, they're going to start taking a dip. And at that point, that's when we're going to see the growth on them. He's a better manager than my manager, 100%. That's not even banter. That's just the honest truth. And I'm not even going to try to debate that. Antonio Conte is one of the best managers in the world. But coming into this Tottenham team, he's not going to get them winning any major honors this season. They're not going to win the Premier League. They're not going to win any major trophies. They might get further in the League Cup. They might get further in the Conference League. But Antonio Conte himself has not been good in cup competitions. He's been good in leagues. And unless Daniel Levy changes something in his mind and starts backing managers and getting them every single player under the sun, we're going to see the same story with Antonio Conte happen again. This is the same guy who walked out at Chelsea, who gave him 130 million in his second season and gave him 90 million in his first season. Do you think Tottenham are going to give him anything near that? I don't think so. I'm not even going to banter Tottenham. Just the reality is Daniel Levy is a big issue, and he's going to be an issue again, and there's going to be problems.
Boom. Agal, does anyone totally disagree with Agal there?
A little bit.
Go on.
A little bit. Just because I know the thing with Mourinho didn't quite work out, but I think we're forgetting he got them to a cup final, and that's more than a lot of managers have done at Tottenham. And with the squad that they had and the lack of backing that he had, to get them in that position took some doing. Levy, he doesn't back managers, which is, again, that's fair. But Conte,
he's not taking the job, is he? If he's not getting assurance,
he comes in with assurances straight away. And I'll tell you what, if Levy doesn't back him, he'll go. Conte will just say, "Nah, not for me. Goodbye," and that causes a huge problem for the ownership then. Because if one of the best managers in the world, having Mourinho, having him sacked a week before a cup final, it's stupid. And if Conte goes, because they're not backing him in the transfer market, they'll pull that stadium to pieces. But honestly, the ownership will be in huge trouble.
It's a great point, because I was thinking about this earlier, and I actually think it's a turning point for Spurs fans that aren't necessarily Levy out, because this is the final straw. If they don't back a world class, and Pochettino was world class, don't get me wrong, but Conte is a serial proven winner, and if they don't back him and they don't give him what he needs in order for them to even compete for the top four, then those Spurs fans have got to be fully owner out. And I think if you're a Spurs fan, you do need to look at the bigger picture. You do need to look at the appointment of Nuno in the first place, why they've made that decision. You look at Poch previously, they haven't backed him. I think it's a ticking time bomb. I'm not digging Tottenham out. I would absolutely love to. It's a world-class manager. He will 100% improve them, and they are top four contenders. But I think that the bigger picture here is, for Tottenham fans, he has to get them a trophy, and within 18 months. And maybe Conte feels that he can, but it's a weird appointment for me, because Conte is managed Inter Milan, Chelsea, serious clubs. And with all due respect to Tottenham, they're not serial winners. So he must see something, or he must have been promised something that would make him think, hang on, I can really prove a point. And if it's only 18 months as well, that would tell me that Levy's not going to back him long-term either, that he realises that there is a potential for it to blow up. But it's horrible, mate. Horrible to see Conte go there, because I know how good he is. And genuinely, at the minute, we've got probably 4 of the best managers in the world, maybe in the Premier League. It's absolutely unreal for the quality and the standard of the league. Once you throw David Moyes in there, then obviously it's.
I was going to say it's David Moyes in that 4.
Only playing. Calm down, everyone. Start getting the up with me, wouldn't they?
You got those 4 managers though, and then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like genuinely.
No. You've got them four. You've got
19.
Everyone else.
No.
Then another 15. Then another 15, and then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah. He's
Then probably Neil Warnock actually, and then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
I'll take Warnock over Solskjaer.
He is one of
all
the
day.
worst three managers in the league. There's not a question about it. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's one of the worst three managers in the league.
Is he as bad as Farke for you?
Yeah, tactically.
He's got to be up there.
Genuinely, if Daniel Farke was
Listen, Daniel Farke does a good job when he goes Championship.
Yeah, Championship.
Exactly.
Not
No,
Premier
but
League.
Ollie couldn't do that. Ollie couldn't do that.
The real story is you guys won the game, but you lost the war.
Because that's spot on. And the thing that annoys me the most, right, and this is quite funny for everyone else. Actually, it is quite funny, entertaining for other fans, is that we've been so defensively poor, and United fans have been moaning about how they don't want Conte because he's too defensive. And then our manager goes with a back five to save his job.
It's a myth, though. Conte being defensive is a complete myth. Yeah. It's the thing about, because he's Italian, he's defensive. It's nonsense. I think he's an Inter Milan team, scored 100 goals back-to-back seasons. He completely rejuvenated Lukaku, played with the front two. They play superb football, that Inter Milan team, and Conte's teams do. His Chelsea team was good to watch. I think Hazard probably played his best football under Conte. Diego Costa did. He's brilliant with attacking players. I've never understood this thing about Conte being defensive.
Oscar, what do you think we'll see from Harry Kane then now that Conte is coming in? Do you think we'll see an instant improvement?
100%. I said it to you in the chat. If Harry Kane plays anything like he did under Nuno, Conte will literally... I won't go too far into it, but he won't last very long at Tottenham, Harry Kane, put it this way, because Conte won't have that. He's a scary manager. He's a complete nutter, really, and Antonio Conte, but but in terms of man management, he's good. He gets the best out of everyone he works with, as long as they buy into what he does. But yeah, I think Kane and Son, I think their output goes through the roof. Certainly Son, I think someone who will really benefit from maybe... Tottenham will be good on the counter-attack. All Conte teams are good on the counter. I think that massively suits Son. And I think you will see that Kane and Son partnership of last season. And that's why, for me, those two, getting more output out of those two, will see Tottenham have a potential push for the top four. I'm not sure if they'll do it or not, but in terms of Kane and Son, you'd probably back those two on form over most strike partnerships or forward options. Maybe outside of Mane, Salah, or other players like that, but I still think they're absolutely superb. But it's good to see Conte back in the Premier League. He's a brilliant character to have in the league. He is always entertaining, and you do know at some point, a bit like Mourinho, only lasts 3 years at every single job. At some point, it will blow up with Conte, but he will probably have achieved a lot before that happens. He does always threaten to burn the house down at some point, to be fair, Conte, for want of a better word. He did it at Inter Milan. He won the title doing that throughout that season. I'm not as much for Spanish football, but I do like the Italian football, to be fair. It's decent. He did have a lot of rows with the Inter Milan board. So, it will be fireworks. And with Daniel Levy as well, him and Conte, it's going to explode at some point. But I think Tottenham have just got to hope that they do win something or get in the top four at that point, to be fair.
Let me just say this quickly, guys. I'm looking at their fixtures, and I'm like, whoa, we have the best fixture run after sacking a manager. They got Everton, Leeds. You guys are performing poorly. You just won your last game, but in 2 weeks' time, we don't know what's going to happen. Burnley, Brentford, Norwich, Brighton, and then Leicester in December 16. So that's a decent run. He could win all those games up until the Leicester game. And at that point, they're sitting comfortably in the top four. But I think they're going to drop off come the new year because they still don't have the squad depth to compete with everybody else.
I was thinking those runs are the worst, though. Those runs are
January window. Bring in players at that point. And we know how good Conte is in the transfer market. He doesn't spend a lot, to be fair. Compared to other managers, he doesn't spend a lot. At Inter Milan, he certainly didn't. He's so good at identifying little gaps to spend.
He spends a lot of money. 90 million.
But 90 million, compare that to the other top four.
4 years ago, he spent 90 million at Chelsea. He spent 100.
Compare that to the other teams, though.
He spent 130, and don't forget how much
you
money.
spent 72 million on Pepe.
No, I'm saying
great point.
Money.
Great point.
This is Spurs. Their record signing is 50 million. There's no way they are going to spend ridiculous.
They will have to, Igal. They will have to, otherwise
they will.
Hear me out.
He wants the job. I don't think.
Hear me out, Conte, though. I think if you actually look at Tottenham's squad, yes, it does need investment, but primarily you look at the wing backs, you look at the back three. I think there's a lot of components already there that suits the way that Conte wants to play. I think it's just slight tinkering. I don't think he would have gone for a rebuild job. I think he just would have been promised certain players, and Oscar is spot on. Albeit he can leave clubs in a mess when he leaves a load of 31, 32-year-olds there. He does identify the right profile of player, and that's what would worry me. If he can add 2 or 3 in January, clever signings, he could go and get Barella, who knows, from Inter Milan, and all of a sudden we're going, that's a serious player there. So he's a top manager, not only just in terms of coaching, but recruitment. 9 times out of 10, he gets it spot on.
Kane is going to be incredible now, incredible. And with the Mourinho effect, with Kane, he started scoring tons of goals, and he added a kind of different aspect to his game where he drops a little bit deeper, and you can play off him almost a little bit as a target man. And thinking what Conte did with Lukaku, you think of what he could do with Kane and Son. They're going to be a force. They will be, and obviously you've got to sort out that shambles of a defence. But Conte will get them organised, more organised than they've been under any manager so far in their careers, probably. So, and they will have to work hard, and stop being.
One player is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
Dele Alli is in a lot of trouble now because I don't think Dele Alli and Conte will see eye to eye. I don't think he'd be having that kind of. I'm not sure.
Have you seen the guy? I don't know if any of us watch Apprentice, but the guy who was doing this while they're in the boardroom, and Sir Alan goes to him, "What are you doing?" And it's like Dele, after his 17th attempt at resurrecting his Spurs career, he's like this, and then he just goes, "What are you doing?"
It'll go one of 2 ways, though, won't it? It'll go one of 2 ways. He'll either be motivated to do fantastically well, and Conte will warm to him, or he'll be out the door in January.
Yeah.
Let's round off the Spurs chat there. I did say I would do this. Matt Hayes from the Tottenham blog asked me to read out a statement because he couldn't make it tonight due to
what is this?
Are you joking, mate?
You've written a poem?
No, he just said, "Get the F in there. Spurs are massive. Declan Rice in the mud." That's all he said. I was like, "What's Declan done?"
Nothing.
He's just a snake.
And are we forgetting the elephant in the room? Spurs are massive. What's that all about? Spurs are not massive.
Yeah,
I think he meant to say West Ham are massive, mate.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. I think he just got it wrong.
Looking at their London neighbours, man.
But I said I would read it out. Those that are asking in the chat about locks, he said he's not bottled it, and he said he's tried to get in a couple of times. We'll have to wait and see, but we're going to save the Arsenal-Leicester chat, because like everyone said in the chat, he was giving it big on Thursday, saying we've definitely beat them, not bothered, and obviously they were put to sword by Arsenal. So we're going to save that until he does show up. If he shows up, then you can.
He has bottled
if he
it,
doesn't show up, you can just.
He's
call
gone
him
proper
a bottler,
Spursy tonight, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah, he's gone proper Spursy.
But Leicester bottle it always. Leicester always bottle it.
They have got a little bit of flakiness about Leicester, isn't there? Sometimes.
Yeah, and guys, remember I said Brendan Rodgers to Manchester United. He's like never. And what happens the next day? Brendan Rodgers to Manchester United links start opening up again.
I did also say that. I will admit I did also say that.
Please.
I apologise, Agal. I apologise, mate. I did dismiss that. I was wrong.
Yeah. Right. Let's talk about a game that was Sunday. West Ham versus Villa. There's a load of talking points on the back of this, but first of all, let's just hear Corey's takes on West Ham climbing into the top 4 and how good you are at the minute, mate. You just can't be stopped.
It's weird, isn't it? It's actually quite bizarre, like when you're looking around and you're 3 points clear of Man United. And to be fair to us, we deserve it. We've been massively consistent over the past 5 or 6 games or so, managed Europe and the cup competitions incredibly well. Anyone that watched that game, and it may seem different from an opposition fan, I felt very uncomfortable probably from the 20th minute to around the 70th minute, because Villa's press was causing us serious issues. And if you look at the way that West Ham set up, we pushed Declan and Souček higher, Mickey, Antonio. We were going to force them into errors. And it's a risky game plan, and sometimes Moyes plays it, but it did work. And you look at the amount of pressure we had on them. Declan Rice's gorgeous pass for Ben Johnson, slots it past Martinez. And I'm in cloud 9, because in terms of those transitions, West Ham were looking like we have done previously. The quality was there going forward. All of a sudden, Villa think, to be honest with you, we can't sit deep for the whole game. And they were stretching us, man. Watkins was stretching Zuma at times. Bailey, to be fair, had a quiet game because of Ben Johnson, but they still had the threat when Dia was getting in beyond. And the goal was really disappointing, by the way. I don't see West Ham concede goals like that very, very rarely. And very rarely does a player get that much space within the box. And they just kept knocking on the door. Fabianski pulls off a world-class save for Watkins' header. If that goes in, the game changes. And then you obviously all want to know about the red card situation where Courtney Hall's assaulted Pablo Fornals. Now, when they did the VAR, for me, I thought they were looking at that. I didn't even look at the goal scoring opportunity, if I'm honest. And whatever your opinion is on it, and I'm sure we'll get to the idea of a goal scoring opportunity, Hall should have been sent off. There should have been one Villa player sent off either way. So for me, it was vindicated. And then even when they had 10 men, we didn't look comfortable in possession. That's the thing. But like I always say on this show, and like I always say on the West Ham Way, the fact is this team has got so much resolve. We brought Manu Lanzini on. He calms it down. He drops deep. He picks up the ball. And then when we got on that counter for that third goal, I thought, this is prime West Ham. Because the players we were getting forward, Fornals' run at the back stick. Not a lot of
prime West Ham. When did that become a thing?
But it's funny because this season we are, trying to play with the ball and play out from the back. But where West Ham was so good last season was the counter, and it's the numbers we get forward. And like I was going to say, most teams Fornals won't make that run from his own half, but he will, and he'll anticipate it. And then the fourth goal is sublime. The fourth goal is absolutely sublime. And Jared Bowen in the last 20 minutes of that game was different level. And he's knocking on the door for England, trust me. I think he's got 6 goal involvements in the last 8. I'm telling you now, he's improving. And I think, give it this season, he could be knocking on the door for the World Cup. Yes, conceded. There are some fantastic players. But I would like to see him get a call-up or get looked at some point. But, mate, 4-1 away at Villa, that's a massive game. Get Thursday done and boxed off. Win it, get through the Europa League group. And then for me, it's a real test against Liverpool. But we're at home. If we can rest a couple of players, they've just drawn to Brighton. We don't know. But honestly, I cannot believe. And anyone that watches those interviews after the game, we need to do better. We need to improve. Moyes is constantly on the players. This is a club that wants to be a big club. And it's very difficult for me to get my head around it. But listen, if you're beating Villa 4-1 away from home, then it's brilliant, mate, at the minute. Can't knock it, can't complain. Just deal with the press a little bit better, and I'm sure we'll be all right this season.
Yeah, Rice was just unreal, wasn't he? Yeah. Rice yesterday. I mean, the fact he gets himself a goal as well. Brilliant. I disagree.
Don Hassam's been in the mud, Don Hassam's been in the mud massively. All these Twitter accounts.
Anyone that was listening to that geezer needs their head testing. Because if I'm telling you after 5 years of watching him, I know what I'm talking about. Trust me.
I mean, have you ever seen Jorginho kick a ball that hard? Never mind, I mean, when he said Jorginho better than Declan Rice, come on, man. Come on. Declan Rice, his first name on the England team sheet now. I'd say that much. First name on that team sheet in terms of form, performances. You expect a 9 out of 10 every single week now of Rice. I mean, the fact he gets the goal, I mean, Jamie Redknapp was saying that it was a goalkeeping error. I don't think it was. I thought it was a beautiful strike. I thought it was an absolutely fantastic strike off him. And if he adds goals to his game, which I think he can, he's genuinely one of the best midfielders in the world, I'd say, if he can add the goals to his game as well. And the way he's playing, he gets into anyone's team and improves them for me. Anyone's team now.
We're being a little bit of Premier League merchants here. We can't be saying he's one of the best midfielders.
He's a player, mate. He's a serious player.
That is taking it a little bit too far, but he's a good player. Is he better than Jorginho? Not consistently throughout the season. Jorginho was much better than him last year. Jorginho was a Ballon d'Or candidate, for God's sakes, because his team.
No.
Look at where his team is. Like, that's the problem with this Ballon d'Or situation, because he's got in.
I don't even like talking about him in that situation. But as much as you want to say, look at his team, his performances for his team were that much better than thing. I get it that they want to buy him, but they don't want Chelsea don't want to buy him to replace Jorginho. They want to buy him to be someone next to Jorginho. Or
they're different players.
No. You're not replacing Kante.
I respect him. I respect him. Don't get me wrong. But when we say he's one of the best in the world, we're taking it a little bit too far.
I think he's one of the best in Europe. I think he's one of the most well-rounded DMs in Europe, easily. And on current form, I'm looking around Europe thinking, who's playing like that? Who's that complete?
It's obviously, I had a look earlier on. Declan Rice has only been dispossessed once in 900 minutes in the Premier League this season. That's like a madness. And then there's the Squawker stuff. Let me see if I can try find it, because I sent it Don Hassam. Like, after 10 games, Declan Rice is the only player in the Premier League this season with 10 plus clearances, 10 plus tackles, 10 plus interceptions, 10 plus aerial duels won, 10 plus chances created, 10 plus take-ons completed, 10 plus touches in the opposition box. The complete midfielder.
Completely. Wow. And the thing is, when I've started watching him this season, granted he's taken his game to another level, you can't believe what you're watching. Anyone that's kicked a ball, how difficult it is to do what he does consistently. And the fact that he can dominate play from deep now as well, and he's adding that passing range left and right, driving with the ball. He's just... And granted, again, I'm not going to dig out Jorginho because I do rate Jorginho and I understand the merits of him in that system. But in terms of, you look at DMs and what they can do, I think some people are very, very specialist. I think Deck's showing he can be that defensive midfielder. But the fact that you can drive and play like that further up the pitch and you're scoring goals and you're creating. And just one last thing on West Ham. Ben Johnson yesterday was outstanding again. 5 games now on the bounce. He hasn't lost one ground duel in any of the 5 games that he's been in. He's been sublime.
What a job he did on Bailey. Yeah. He just completely pocketed him. That was Villa. I thought that was Villa's only way of getting at you was that pace of Bailey, and Johnson just pocketed him. Easy. It was easy for him.
He's so good. Oscar, you sure you're not a West Ham fan?
I think you know what it is. He's got to give us some credit. Like Hassam said to me, why are you bigging Declan up? But there's a little thing with Declan and Calvin. Like we were always, Calvin's better than Declan, Declan's better than Calvin, and all this sort of chat. But seeing them come together for England has just brought Leeds and West Ham fans together as well. We have to back it when they're playing for England, like saying, and people say these boys can't play together, you know what I mean? So I think
Rice and Jorginho, different players. Rice and Jorginho are different players. I don't know why they're in the same conversation, to be honest, because they're completely different players.
You weren't here the other week because Sam was comparing him to Kovacic. I don't even feel that they're similar players either. So
no, they're not. One of them is a player who sits and holds the whole game and just plays, passes between the lines, and one is, someone who drives forward and tries to get goal contributions and tries to, when Rice goes forward, Souček doesn't and holds back. So they've got a defensive base as well. So the problem with putting Jorginho, and also, by the way, different systems as well. One plays in a 3-5-2 and the other plays in a 5-3-2, whatever you want to call it, and one plays in a 4-2-3-1. Different systems, and I think comparing all of these players, Rice isn't even not even a specialist DM because he doesn't specifically sit there and hold. He's so much better than that. And he said in an interview, I think it was towards the end of last season, I don't just want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that goes forward and works on my game going forward and getting goals and getting assists and stuff. So he's so much better than people give him credit for, in the sense that he's gone from being that traditional sitting holding player to someone who's so much more than that. He's so much better.
Henry,
yeah.
You've got a choice now for Man United, okay, in terms of your midfield problem. Are you going for Jorginho or are you going for Declan Rice? If you had a choice between the two, one of these two objects, just out of interest.
Declan Rice, without a shadow of doubt. Do I think it depends? Again, it depends on the management situation, though. Do I know whether we don't know whether Declan Rice works in a 5-3-2? We don't know whether he works in that, or as well. Anyway, it depends who he's next to.
The one thing I'll say about Deck is I'm not convinced he can play as well as a single pivot. If you're talking about how Calvin plays in a 6, I think he needs a player alongside him because it gives him the license to get forward. So that's the only, and that would worry me if hopefully he stays at West Ham, we get top 4 or whatever. But in all seriousness, if he goes to a side with a 4-3-3, sometimes it takes that adaptation period, and people will say the midfield's too open. But that's why I think, if obviously Calvin, I know he's just coming back from injury, and particularly Deck with the way he's improving this season, those two, if they go into form into the World Cup, will be sensational. Because I'm telling you now, in terms of completeness as midfielders, they'll be up there.
I don't think Rice and Souček would work in a 5 at the back. I don't think they would in a 2 in midfield. I think they get overrun. So that's why, having someone in front of them to be able to do. You've got players like Fornals who will do the dirty work. They didn't used to, but they'll do it more than they used to, and they'll do the running and they'll do the tracking. So I think that, again, Rice in this system, he suits a 4-2-3-1 perfectly, in the sense that he's got someone next to him that he trusts is going to hold the position when he moves forward, and vice versa. And I think that all these comparisons with traditional defensive midfielders, they just need to stop, because it's doing him a disservice, because he's so much more than that to West Ham. And again, he is the first name, apart from Southgate's little bum buddy, which is Pickford. Apart from that, he is the first name on the team sheet for England, and that speaks volumes for how good he is.
For sure. While we're on midfielder, obviously, let's have a little chat about my favourite, Conor Gallagher. Obviously, Crystal Palace shocked everyone, really beating City 2-0. I know I was clinging on to this idea that Vieira, okay, they were playing well, but they weren't getting wins. They only had one win on the board. They still need to be worried kind of vibe, but obviously ran out 2-0 winners at the Etihad. Not many people, win there. And just Conor Gallagher's display again, I thought he was absolutely exceptional. And I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on whether we see him getting in at Chelsea, because he's going to move from Palace come the end of the season for me, because I think he's better than that. But then again, in my mind, I'm thinking I'd like Leeds to be in the race. But then again, are we better than Palace? Like, bigger, yes, I would say, but not. I don't know, because we're probably not going to be in position. But
it'll cost a fortune, mate. It'll cost an absolute arm and a leg, I reckon. Yeah. The Chelsea must be rubbing their hands together thinking, hang on, we might not even keep him. I think he's 40 mil if you're going for it. Yeah. I think he's that good. Look how young he is as well. I know everyone goes 40 mil English tax, blah, 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 but just how he's pressing, his energy, like the runs he's making into the box, how technically sound he is as well. Like, and listen, I hate Chelsea as much as everyone else, but to be fair to them, their academy, look at the players they've brought through. Look at the conveyor belt. It just doesn't end. I think you're on mute again.
If I'm Conte, I'm looking at someone like Conor Gallagher for Tottenham.
Yeah.
For that energy, alongside an Ndombele or someone like that. I just think Gallagher, someone maybe not quite a top 14, but someone just outside Tottenham, West Ham, Leicester. I think he suits them perfectly.
With Tuchel, I don't know whether he stays, and again, it comes down to system. I think people get so caught up in the player themselves, but you've got to think about how he's going to fit into this Chelsea side. Is he going to be in over N'Golo Kante and Jorginho because they fit the system so well? Probably unlikely. When Kante's not fit, could he be in there? I think he's too attacking. So again, it comes down to what the manager thinks. He might keep hold of him and use him as a Kovacic style player where you can push forward and then add to his defensive side of the game. But I think that there's a lot of money to be made there. Chelsea, I think, and I've said this before, and I think they're underrated for their academy in the sense that I think it's the best in the world in terms of what they produce and what they sell. They don't have to have a net spend that is ridiculous. They had a minus net spend this summer. Minus net spend because they sold players from the academy. That is how good they are. And they spent 100 million on Lukaku. That's absolutely phenomenal.
It's the way they structure the deals as well in terms of like first buybacks and all that sort of stuff. Because you can see in it, and Livramento's the same at Southampton, in it, and look how good he is. There's a case they take him back at some point, so it is exceptional. I guess what they're doing, and you could look like if you go down to the Championship, it's littered with Chelsea players, isn't it? Oscar obviously being there. We had a couple ourselves. Bamford was from from Forest, but he was at Cobham, and you had. There's loads. Like, look at Vitesse Arnhem. I think I heard Letizia say before, it's like the Chelsea under-23s is Vitesse Arnhem.
Yeah, they have a connection. Yeah.
They're everywhere, aren't they, Egal, were you going to say something, mate? Sorry, you were muted, Egal.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're muted, man. I've been trying to unmute it, but it said you muted yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say Chelsea has the best academy in the world, by far. If you look at the players that they have in their squad from their academy, they could make an Academy 11 and compete with majority of the teams in the Premier League at the moment. Like, I don't know who their academy goalkeeper would be, but when it comes to their defense, you can look at the defenders that they have just from their academy right now. They have and also the ones that are on loan or that have left their club. You look at their midfield, Mason Mount and all these other guys that they have in their midfield. Declan Rice is from the Chelsea academy.
No, he's not. He's West Ham.
Eddie Nketiah is from.
Is he? So what's the deal? Was he at Chelsea?
No, he got released. He's right.
He got released, but he's originally from the Chelsea academy, right? You also look at Tomori. You have Mount. You have Christensen. You have Reece James. You have their striker situation. You have their forwards. You can get what's his name, Chilwell. Chilwell didn't come from their academy. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm talking about Callum Hudson-Odoi. You got Ruben Loftus-Cheek. They just got so many quality players, and even players that aren't even playing for them anymore, that are Liverpool, as you guys said. There's another guy at Brentford who scored a goal the other day. They just have one of the best academies in the world, and they continuously will have a conveyor belt of those kind of guys. And if Newcastle want to do anything to get themselves to the top, they need to take that model, get the academy players, focus on the academy.
Yeah, we actually got one in the summer, Lewis Bate. That everyone's raving about. Chelsea wanted to keep hold of him, and we managed to. He said he's seen a quicker, route into the first team coming to Leeds United, which I suppose, in a sense, Oscar, is props to the way we're currently being run, especially from the under-23s up. The fact that these lads are getting chances. We know we managed to get Joe Geldart, and he was wanted by the likes of Liverpool, etc. Some big clubs were after him. And for Lewis Bate to come away from Chelsea and say, I'm going to go to Leeds. There's a lot already asking for him to get a run out yet, but I think it's too soon. But he's been ripping it up for the under-23, so you'll probably see him in our team probably next season, I would imagine. So you're right. I mean, they're littered with it down there. I know I'm still waiting on locks. I keep seeing this thing appear at the bottom and then it goes again. So I think he's where he's laying down the groundwork to say, I did try. I think he's on the black though, he's definitely on the black. But we touched on obviously the red card situation. And I know, Gal, you mentioned off air some of the horrendous refereeing this weekend, obviously. I think me personally, I thought it was mad that Cons had got sent off and Hawes didn't. It was a WWE forearm smash to the face of Fornells, I felt. What I did find funny was John McGinn getting put on his backside by, I think it was Bowen.
Drink it in Bowen.
Moments of the weekend.
Lanzini come up. Little old Lanzini was giving it, and then Bowen comes on and just pushes it. And then the thing is, McGinn's looking for the red because they sees the ref and he goes. You're telling me McGinn gets pushed off the ball that easy? I don't think so, mate. So
I know. And then also, Laporte gets sent off for the challenge on Zaha, but then Evans doesn't, when you could argue, Igal, that was a goal-scoring opportunity as well, because Aubameyang would have been in there. Aubameyang would have been in.
How on earth on the same weekend, you have 3 games, similar situations with 3 of them. One, he gets tripped. Clearly, puts his hand up, doesn't even touch the guy, and they give it as a red. Am I wrong? The Conso one. They gave it as a red, right? Or a second yellow?
Yeah, it was yellow.
No, it was red. He switched it.
Yeah,
okay,
it was red.
So he ends up getting sent off. The one for Laporte, I get it. You give him a red for that. You send him off. Fine. But the one that Johnny Evans did was the most aggressive one. He literally held on to Aubameyang. He knew he was the last man. There was no one behind him. That was the most outrageous call. Have the consistency. Call it consistently throughout all of them. Because in my opinion, the Conso one was not a red. The Laporte one was a red, and the Johnny Evans was a red. But yeah, we'll get into it.
But Gal, you have to. This is the thing with me. You've got to keep the consistency because we're talking about Laporte and whoever else being that far away from goal. Bowen's actually 10 yards just outside the box. So for me, if you're going to keep it consistent, then that could be a red card.
No, yeah, but the difference between the other 2 guys, am I mistaken? Did Bowen actually get held physically with his 2 hands?
No, it looked more like an error, didn't it? It did look more. I get what a gal's saying. It looked more like an error.
All right, we could go down that path. Yeah.
The other two situations, they literally are bear hugging them.
A gal, they're all fouls though. So in that case, it's still a goal scoring opportunity for me. And maybe the argument is when you're that far away from goal. The Aubameyang one for me, I think that's a red because Aubameyang is dead centre.
Can I get you the image? I tweeted this out. I got the images on deck. I'm ready. Let's go.
You've been prepping this. I know you have.
So
you won as well. That's the mad thing.
So this is referee watch on Snapchat. I'm gonna share my screen right now. 1 second. They literally have an still image of all 3 of them, and you tell me which one looks like the most outrageous call. Because when you see the final moments, what happened? This here is Aubameyang getting bear hugged, right? Right. This next one is Laporte and Zaha.
I can't see it. Wait there. Here we go. There you go, Gal.
Okay, so that's Laporte and Zaha. This is Aubameyang and Johnny Evans.
Yeah.
And then this is the final one. So you tell me out of the three, which one looks like the most outrageous call?
Yeah, no, yeah.
I know you're coming from.
Yeah.
I think stills are difficult though. To be fair, the one thing I will say about stills is that they can paint a picture that is a little bit false at times. I'm not saying they are, by the way, they're not. But still, people use stills on Twitter to make arguments, and you think, okay, well, in the context of what has actually happened in the game, that's absolute rubbish. So I'm not even going to say that,
because you get them sometimes as well, where we've had it before, where players have took a shot and they should have squared it, and it's like, look at that simple pass, but when it's being played at like real time, it's not as simple as like being able to see the still.
I think there's a fundamental issue though with the refereeing in this country.
Yeah, it's brutal.
The refs they're second guessing themselves now. They've got VAR, and by the way, this obviously the linesman thing where they put their flag up even though someone's blatantly offside. If it's blatant, put your flag up, man. Come on, stop using VAR as a shield. And
Henry, have we had a referee yet who's actually stuck with his decision when VAR's told him to look at it? I don't think we have we?
Yes,
we have.
Against Crystal Palace, Saka got kicked in the calf, and it should have been a red for one of our players. And then Mike Dean got relegated last weekend because of it.
You know who else? You know who else as well? Balbuena last season, I think the ref called it a red, and VAR maybe checked it, and then he kept with his decision. I think
that Suchek last season, remember the dumb red for
that was different because the VAR called that, and then he changed his mind, Mike Dean. I think
there is a fundamental issue though, in the sense that Europe generally have been getting it right in the last kind of couple of years with VAR, and having watched the Italian league and watched the Spanish league, they tend to get it right. They tend to have a rule and a line that they stick to. As soon as that line starts moving a little bit with these referees, they'll just bend it to the stage where, so with the Villa one, I think you can't just go, right, we're going to send one off if the other is a blatant foul as well. I think it wasn't an arm that Courtney Hall stuck out.
And it's smash, man.
Yeah, exactly. Bang. So if you're gonna send them, you send them both. I think it's as simple as that. But the refs are putting themselves in a situation where they're using VAR as a shield, obviously because they've got technology now. They've never had that before. But they should get criticised because they've got the technology. They've got the ability to be able to look at these images in slow motion and really see what the context of the situation is as well. They know because they've seen it. So the refs are causing themselves huge issues in the sense that they'll get something in their ear and they will instantly they'll go, okay, VAR's told me this, therefore I must make this decision.
Yeah.
Whereas they need to have the confidence to step up themselves and think, no, I 100% got that right. Also, with the one at the Villa West Ham game, the ref should have gone, oh, can you show me the other one as well? So
that's a good point.
You can't cancel. Why not send them both off? Set a precedent.
It's like they didn't see the other one though. They mentioned it. It's like they missed the actual really bad foul off. It's like they missed it completely.
And almost gone like that. Well, we're going to be sending one of them off, so just send him off.
They couldn't have though, because when I was watching it on the telly, they obviously had the possible red card, and then they had goal scoring opportunities. So they must have seen it. I just think when you're in someone's ear and they go, "Hang on a minute," if they're pulling me over, they must have seen something that I couldn't have seen. And then you're right, they're just second guessing themselves.
They should set a precedent.
Well, the funny thing is, if he gives the double red at Villa Park, which would have gone down horrifically, the one thing you could have said and come away from that game is he's been consistent. And consistency is such a massive part of refereeing that we just don't see. That's probably what annoys people more than anything else, because no one knows where they stand anymore.
But he's also not scared of a home crowd that is going to they'll give him pelters, which is fair enough. But he's not scared of making a decision in front of that many people.
Right. Yeah.
And you've got to make the right decision, because players notice these things, by the way. They notice what's going on, and they will try any little thing. So people will be making double fouls now because they'll think, I'll get away with the first one, so it won't matter. These things need to be picked up on. And if they set a precedent for the rest of the league in a game like that's live on TV that everyone can see, then you've got something going forward where, in a game that if two decisions by a player, say, 2-foot someone, and then someone else goes and, again, elbows or, headbutts someone off the ball. So if someone now nuts someone after a terrible challenge, they not get, does the guy that make the challenge get sent off or the guy that headbutts?
Yeah.
Like, they've got to set a precedent now and show that they're strong enough to do that.
Van Dijk last season, that injury he got, Pickford didn't get sent off because Van Dijk was offside.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a mad. Yeah.
That sums it up for me. That they're not even looking at the Pickford tackle. They're just more focused on the fact he was offside. So basically, if you're offside, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, true.
You can do whatever you want because there's
referees
rules.
ruin. You're right, man. That's a great point. In it, let's move it on. The English referees are gash. It's as simple as that, man. They always have been. And you guys that haven't tasted Championship football, I know Corey has for a bit. You guys that haven't tasted it, it gets worse the further you go down.
I've seen a little bit,
The size as well.
There. Oh, it's
League
horrible. Yeah, it's horrible. Right, let's talk about. We've got 2 more points I want to cover. Not 3, I think. We've got about 15 minutes, so we'll have to be quick. Gal, give us your moment. Locks has bottled it. It's as simple as that. He's bottled it and we'll be terrorising him for weeks now. He's bottled it. Talk to us. Arsenal in amazing form. It has to be said. What's that? 8-9 in all competitions, undefeated now. We were talking about, certain players. I think Emile Smith-Rowe's close to an England call-up for sure. And Ramsdale as well. I know I had a conversation with someone on Twitter who said, he said he wanted to be in the World Cup squad, and this person said, I want to go with Megan Fox. It's never going to happen. And I was like, no, I think Ramsdale will happen. And then I seen Oscar tweeting about how, Ben White and Ramsdale should be in that England setup, and it'd be much better for us to progress up the pitch with them at the back rather than Pickford and Maguire. So you must be buzzing right now, Miguel.
Listen, I had 4 conversations with Leicester fans before the week. All of them said they were going to beat us 3-1, 2-5, 2. One guy said 2-5. They thought they were going to score 5 goals. We were going to score 2. Another guy said 2-0. Some guy said he's going to keep a clean sheet and he thinks Soyuncu is better than Gabriel. Personally, everyone needs to start respecting that the Arsenal team that you're watching right now is a little bit more rugged. We don't take nonsense. When you put it on us, we're going to show it to you. We're going to get in your face. Now, we can have as much conversation about the manager as you want, but I'm going to go 5 talking points right now. Gabriel, as a center back, we have to respect him. He's one of the best center backs in the league right now on form, and he's one of the best. He's one of the best defenders I've had at Arsenal in a long time. I would probably say he's one of the best defenders we've ever had. And we need to pay attention to this guy because he's a good player. And having Rob Holding next to him does help. Next.
Sorry, again. What the best centre back you've ever? You've had Tony Adams. You've had Sol Campbell.
Compare Martin Keown to Gabriel.
He's also had Mustafi, to be fair to.
Since our last team that won the league, he's one of the best center backs. Let's be honest. He's up there with Vermaelen.
It's not difficult, though, really, is it? Like,
it's not really
respectfully.
that much. That's what I was saying.
It's when you said ever, I was like,
no. In a long time. Remember, I only started watching football in like 2000. So I see a lot of the best center backs that we've had. So next, Gabriel, we've talked about him. Let's talk about Aaron Ramsdale. Man saved us. Absolute hero of a night. One of the best saves I've seen in a long time. Well, not even over-exaggerating. I think he's going to be England number 1. You guys have already spoken about it. I think he's up there. Let's be honest. He's one of the best goalkeepers, one of the best signings this season so far, and performing like one of the best goalkeepers. I'm not saying he is the best, but he's performing like it. Then we have to have questions about Leicester. Leicester are not good at defending set pieces. Arsenal are good at scoring from set pieces. We knew it was going to end up happening. Inevitably, it was the first goal, and we kept it moving for the rest of the game. Concerns from the Leicester side, they need to focus on their midfield. How do you lose a midfield battle to 21-year-old Lokonga and Thomas Partey next to him? When you have guys like Samori who's supposed to be killing it, you have Madison in there. We didn't play a 3-man midfield. And it looks like Madison wasn't really part of their midfield at that game. We overran their midfield. He changed it up, got a little bit better. But Arsenal, overall, I feel like a lot of people have to take us a little bit more serious now that we're 9 games undefeated and look at us a little bit differently with the signings that we've had. And by the way, all 6 of our signings have been good.
Exactly. And do you know what I will say in response to that, bro? to any Arsenal fans watching this as well, the way that the Arsenal fans reacted to some of these signings, for me, was bang out. The way they hammered these lads before they'd even put on the shirt, because they weren't called Ben White-Dino, and they weren't from Spain, and they weren't from this, and they weren't from that. You know, the way they went on with Ramsdale, etc. The fact that your man Edu and Arteta, you've said it yourself just there, every single player that's come in this window has been a success. And now that he's had a bit of time, and that's in you're an Arsenal fan, you know, that's your opinion. I think they need to be cut some slack big time, because for me, I get like Arteta gets put into the bracket of like Ollie, of Lampard, etc. But he's way above them for me. He's way above
levels
them for me.
above.
Yeah, levels. I think he's building something there, and if he's given a little bit more time, we'll wait.
I will say this. I think I've been quite fair on Arteta, and I think he's been poor for a long time. But in the past 3 games or 4 games or so, I think Arsenal's pressing's been outstanding, probably better than I've seen it for a while. I think the balance in the defence is there. Ben White's been sensational. I've got to be honest, on the ball every time, and he did exactly the same for Brighton. He steps into the midfield, he carries the ball, he breaks presses, and he does it for Arsenal. And I just feel that fair play to Arteta in some respects, because he's stuck with the side. It is a young team, and they are buying in. And I actually think when Arsenal are out of possession, they're a very good team, and you can always create. You've always got Smith Rowe and Saka.
Corey, do you look at Arsenal? Because like we've mentioned, West Ham, could they challenge top 4? We think Spurs could Arsenal, or do we think it's far too soon?
Of course they can.
I'm not sure. I think
Of course they can.
But I think it's too soon to consider West Ham even in that. Do you see what I'm saying? So for me, you've got to see another. But I would say that Arsenal are looking a lot better than they have last season, fact. And even because I know sometimes Arsenal fans split it one half of the season and the other half, but if you actually look at this season so far, they're much more improved. I think top 6. I think top 6 definitely.
If they get Europe, it's a success, isn't it?
One thing we have established is Leicester's a poor side this year.
They are against you, and they are against us.
I'm not saying anything because we've got them on Saturday, so I'm not saying anything.
Leicester are weird in the sense that they could really come good this season. Once it clicks, it could really click in that side, because they've got some serious talent. They've brought in some seriously good players. You look at, the likes of Samaria and Daka, who have personally, I think they've hit the ground running. They've been fantastic.
I'm not wrong though. I mean, Leicester did have a few chances in that game, and if Ramsdale wasn't in that world-class mode, do you think that they would have scored and it could have been a draw? Maybe. I don't know. I didn't see the game.
If Leno was in goal.
They would have won then.
It was almost like we scored 2 goals in 18 minutes. So once we scored the 2 goals in 18 minutes, the game was just control the rest of the game. And they gained control back. Once at halftime, they changed the whole setup. They took off Maddison, they took off another striker, and they added 2 wingers, and it allowed them to defend. But the reason why we won this game was not because of Leicester being poor or anything else. Brendan Rodgers got it completely wrong. He tried to go with a front 2 with a team that pins you into the corners, which only allowed their wing backs to defend by themselves. So we'd have overloads in either side, and they would always be outnumbered. It would always be 3 against 1 in the wide areas, and that's where they lost the game. And if they would have set up originally with a 3-man front, with a front 3 with 1 striker and 2 wingers to help out going backwards, they might have had something better from this game.
I think measuring Arsenal in this run is, I'm not going to say it's deceptive, because it's not. I think that's maybe a little bit too far, but I think you've got to have a run. You've obviously already played City, and I know that didn't go so well, but you've turned the corner since then. But I want to see you play a top side now in this run when you're on top form.
You said that though, Brighton. I know I hear what you're saying, Henry, but they said Brighton would be the test, and I think Brighton are a very good side. I know they got beat by City, but they draw the weekend against Liverpool. Potter's so underrated within fans.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
for me, I think the way he sets up tactically is mint.
I think anyone could beat anyone, and I think that's obviously something the Premier League gets plenty of credit for. And anyone in the league can beat anyone, apart from maybe Norwich at the moment. But
we struggled.
Let me just say this: on another day, Leicester, if they would have scored that free kick, they could have probably come back. It wasn't 100% in our control, but
that's why you spend money on the goalkeeper.
That's why you spend that much money on the defense, and our defense is now getting when we're under pressure, we're actually getting used to defending well. It's good to see.
This is the thing with Arsenal, though. The thing with Arsenal is you can't tell me Tomiyasu, White, Gabriel, Tierney isn't a good back four. It might not be the best back four in the league, but it works better than most back fours. I think in that top end of the table, it just works. Even Nuno Tavares, I think, looks a good player as well. I think, to be fair to Arteta, you've got to say, I know what Corey's saying in terms of results. It probably has been a little bit below par, but he still won an FA Cup. We started to beat Chelsea en route to that, City en route to that, and that was in the first couple of months. And I kind of look at Arsenal. Arsenal, for me, in terms of investment, until they get rid of Stan Kroenke, will not be competing with Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, for me, at the top end of the table. It's unrealistic to expect that in terms of the spend.
Do you think as well, Oscar? Like, for me, this now really looks like Arteta's or Edu or their squad. Because for Arsenal, they've had years of guff that they've signed on long-term deals or kept at the club, and they've had to ship it all out. And
the only player left now, who I think has been a good player, to be fair, in the past, but I think who probably does need moving on in terms of as a starting player, is probably Lacazette. I think Lacazette's one of those where I say you probably can get to really push on. I think that Arsenal probably would need someone better than Lacazette. I think Aubameyang is still going to get goals from consistently, but I think maybe someone else to play off. But Lacazette is a bench option, maybe. And I think that's what Arsenal probably work towards. But no, I think they've built a really good squad, Arsenal, to be fair, and I think they're certainly better than what
the real test would be Liverpool away. After this Watford game, we play Liverpool away.
Real test for us next Sunday, mate.
Yeah, Sohan said in the chat, Brighton was the test. Then they said Leicester would be the test, and I thought Leicester, and they've come through it, man.
They didn't do that well.
If they lost that game,
no, they didn't do that
if
well.
Arsenal
They got
lost
dominated by Brighton.
Sorry. Yeah, they did get dominated, but if they'd lost that game against Liverpool, I don't really know what it proves. Liverpool are a better team than Arsenal. It's categorically better team than Arsenal. I don't think that all of a sudden, if they lost that game like 2-0 or something, I don't think that says Arteta isn't good enough for Arsenal. I just think that just says they're a long way off being what Liverpool are. If Arsenal get top four or push for the top four this season, considering the atmosphere around the club at the end of August, I'd say that I think you've got to have something about you as a manager to turn it around. Like we all said, Arteta was gone.
Oscar, I want to come back next week, and I want us to put 5 on Watford's head. If we can beat Watford 5-0, something like that, and show that we are dominant against the lesser sides, and be rugged against everybody else, I like that. But we're not even doing that against the smaller sides. We need to beat somebody with a big scoreline. I want to see that one day.
I think you need a better striker. That's why.
Well, I think Arteta's the way Arteta's gone is, when Arsenal are in possession, I don't think you're that good. You do rely on individuals, but in terms of out of possession, energy, organisation, he has got that right, to be fair to him. So maybe you just are that type of team. Do you know what I mean? If you go and win the next couple of games 2-0 or 2-1, no one will really care, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? You'll be up there.
But Arsenal fans will find a way to be angry. This is the thing.
They will. Yeah.
But what's the expectation? What is the expectation?
They're angry today that we didn't get Conte. They're like, how the hell did we let Spurs get Conte? That's what people are angry about.
Leave it. I think big up Arteta, Emile Smith-Rowe, Saka, Ramsdale, White. I don't mind Arsenal. I like what they're doing there. Fair play to them.
The thing they say about Arsenal is, right, the difference between Arsenal and the rest of the top four is they still spend a lot, I'll say that much, but it's not like, no disrespect, Henry, but Man United, obviously, you just bringing in ready-made players, spending absolute fortunes on them. I know Arsenal spent a lot as well, but you look at it in Arsenal, you're saying, you know what, I quite like that. Smith Rowe, Ben White, all these players are developing. To be fair, I don't mind Arsenal that much now.
No, same. No. Let's have a quick chat then, just to finish. I just want to have a chat and get the general opinion from the lads. I don't know if you've seen our game, but Leeds United obviously scraped through. Really played poorly and beat Norwich 2-1. 3 points was all that matters. Brentford now lost 3 on the bounce, getting beat by Burnley. Burnley getting their first 3 points of the season. Newcastle being beaten again at home, this time by Chelsea. Some lovely goals scored by Reece James, to be fair.
Their best feature at the club.
What a player.
Yeah, great player.
What a surprise, though. What a surprise Jorginho didn't let him take the penalty for the hat-trick. What a massive shock that was. And you wonder why I dislike Jorginho. Always got to be about him some way along the way.
It runs deeper than the playing style. It's a
He hates him, doesn't he?
But the thing is about Jorginho, he's so arrogant. He says he was in an interview the other week and he said, "I've invented a new position now in the Premier League." Get lost. There was Xabi Alonso. There was David Silva before you, mate. Just do one. Honestly. Can't stand him. Can't stand him.
Would you... Because I said yesterday on my video, 10 games in, I wanted to give an assessment on where I feel Leeds United are at. And I said we're in a scrap. Just based on performances this season, 10 games in, we've not looked great, we're in a scrap. Someone said to me on Twitter, well, we're in a scrap, but we're only this points behind Villa, or we're only this, we're only that. But I can only go on what I see. My eyes don't lie to me. And how we played against Norwich wasn't great. If it's not for Rafinha, again, we're a one-man team at the minute, it feels. Calvin's not quite at the races either, coming back from injury. But Henry, do you... Just some of the other teams that I mentioned as well, now Brentford have lost 3 on the bounce, Newcastle... We think it might change in January. I think we can all say Norwich are down. I think a lot of us think Watford. Do you think Leeds United are in a scrap for that 18th spot? And who else in that teams that I've mentioned?
Yeah, I think Watford are a weird one because I'm not sure quite what's going to happen there. They've only had a couple of weeks under Ranieri, so I don't think that's quite a fair measurement yet. I'd say give them another maybe 3 or 4 weeks and you'll really see what they are as a side, because he's got, by the way, JUSTJOE sounds like a vibes manager, so you've got to work on some good hard training in that club to sort them out a little bit. So I think that will take a little bit of time. I think Burnley are the ones that are going to be, I mean, I said on Friday I thought they'd start picking up results just because they're effective in what they do.
Yeah.
And they can adapt a little bit, and I think they showed that against Brentford. Brentford, I've always thought, they have that Moneyball model where they buy the lesser players for cheaper money and then they stick them into the first team, and they've obviously got the B team as well instead of an academy side. I just think it's a little bit of a step too far for them. Just unless they invest in the January window, I think they could be in trouble, because 1 or 2 injuries to that squad and they are, they're struggling, really struggling. So I'd be confident if I were a Leeds fan right now, in the fact that I think you guys will stay up. You've still got Bamford to come back, and you've still got Phillips to hit form again. Rafinha, I don't think he's even at his best at the moment. I know he's carrying you through a few games. I don't think he's at his best. So I wouldn't be that concerned. I'd say the one thing that you need to do is maybe get a midfielder to go alongside Calvin Phillips, a little bit more industrious and a bit better quality to go alongside him in midfield. Because if you can get a base in that midfield, from January onwards, you'll stay up. I don't think there's any doubt about 100%. It. You've got the spine. You just need to add on to it.
I wonder, are you guys going to beat Leicester? Would you guys, Oscar and Joe, would you put money on you guys beating Leicester? And do you even put money on you guys scoring at home against teams that are better than you slightly?
Yeah, of course you could score. I won't put money on us beating Leicester now. I'm really nervous for the game, to be honest. It was just beating Norwich. That's just where I'm at currently. And a lot of people that watch my shows will tell you I'm very, very positive. But my eyes don't deceive me. We've been on the eyes and opposite ends of spankings. You're talking, 6-2s, 5-1s, 4-1 from Leicester last season, beaten by Palace 3-something, Can't remember. But we've always been in games. Whereas this season, we ain't in games. And
you
that's
don't need
the
to win
difference,
those, though. You don't need to win the Leicester game.
No.
There's the pressure is on the Brentford game, the Norwich game, all of those kind of games.
Yeah.
If you beat the teams around you, stay up. I think it's genuinely.
And this is the thing. Bielsa over the 2 seasons is undefeated against teams in the bottom 6. Whenever the team's in the bottom 6, he beats them.
Yeah. So
it shows he has that nous over those lesser managers down there, lesser teams.
The style works.
Yeah.
Against maybe yesterday was a bad example. Man-to-man marking, sometimes against a better quality of player, like say Tielemans on Sunday, he could probably break the man-to-man marking on his own just for a little dribble, or a Harvey Barnes or something like that. But against these lesser teams, they don't have that level of quality, and I think we can. No. I just think when we get Bamford back in, we'll be fine against those games, and if we win enough of those games, as Henry's already said. You only need to kind of win 5 or 6 of those, draw in the other ones, and then all of a sudden you kind of got 25, 28 points just from those games, and then you might get a couple of bonus ones against Leicester. You might get a draw against Leicester, or you might get a win out of nothing against Wolves or something like that, and all of a sudden you've got enough points.
That's why teams like Burnley stay up, because they beat the team.
Yeah, exactly.
It's as simple as that, and it might be classed as a relegation scrap, but I think this, like, respectfully, this could be a little bit of a wake up call for your ownership model, in the sense that
for sure.
You've got to go out next summer and invest if you stay up, because the risk of being left behind in the Premier League is going to get more and more now that Newcastle have got their billions. You know, that it's going to be a lot more of a problem. So you've got to be savvy with it.
You're so true. This is for me where we got it wrong this season. It's off the pitch, not on it. Like, I know that might sound mad, but these players that Bielsa's had, he's had the same players now for 4 seasons. It's getting stale. It's getting stagnant. You need to switch it up. These lads are.
But it was like we finished here and we can finish here again. But that's not how the Premier League operates. It keeps moving. So you've got to.
Relegation is not a possibility, though, in my opinion. Just because I feel like there's 3 teams. You guys will pick up points against those lower level teams. Yeah. Because the way you guys play allows you to have control of the game against those smaller teams, and because you have control of the game in those smaller games. Against those smaller teams, you're gonna have games where you blow teams out because your attack is still there. You just need Brentford back, and you'll get those.
Can I just say something? I don't want to leave it negative, but when I watched the game yesterday, I couldn't believe it was the same Leeds from last season. The fullbacks weren't getting forward, the pressing wasn't there. It was so lethargic. It was strange to watch, and I didn't realise, and I know a lot of Leeds fans talk about relying on Rafinha. I genuinely didn't realise you relied on him that much for a moment of absolute brilliance. And I think it's not really the opponents you're playing. It's Leeds as a team. And I'm still waiting for you to click. And I've got no doubt that when you click, you can cause anyone nightmares, because your type of energy and the man marking system for lower placed teams is difficult to deal with. But I was genuinely shocked. Bamford will be a huge part of it, pressing from the front. 100%.
Do you know who else is as well, bro? And he had a really poor start to the season, but now that he's out of the side, it's Luke Ayling. That guy's progressive runs, he's one of the best in Europe from that right-hand side, the way he overlaps around Rafinha, which then causes Rafinha to have even more space.
Where's that gone?
But
where's that overload gone? I don't understand. It was there and now all of a sudden it's not. And
Jamie Shackleton doesn't tend to do it, but when Cody Drama came on, we seen an improvement there. But Bielsa will stick with players who he knows are well versed in the system. And I think there's a case for, if Ayling's not back, that Drama should start at right back, but I don't think he will. I think he'll go with Shackleton. Go on, Oscar, what were you going to say? Sorry, mate.
But I don't get this thing about Luke Ayling. Like, it's all of a sudden he's become a bad player because he had a bad first 4 games of the season. Yeah. He's played 38 games last season. Yeah. For me, he was among our top 3 or 4 players in the whole of last season. You know, he was as consistent as anyone at right back. I can't think of one moment last season where I thought Luke Ayling needs to come out of the team or Luke Ayling's cost us the game there. He did fine last season. He seems fine. I think in terms of that bottom 6, bottom 7, he's getting at right back for me in most of those teams. Look at some of the right backs who are playing at that bottom end of the table. You know what I mean? Emil Kraft, people like that from Newcastle. You know, this is what we're talking about. Maybe Max Aarons, you can argue something else, but
yeah, I would take him 100%.
He's not. I know, yeah, he looked good. Yes, I think in a better team, he probably is a better player. To be fair, but the point is, Luke Ayling wasn't the reason we started the season badly. Luke Ayling hasn't suddenly become a liability. He's going to come back for his first rest for probably like 2.5 years. Just purely because he's picked up an injury. I think he comes back flying, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think we improve instantly.
I do.
I think we improve instantly. Add Bamford in there.
Yeah, that's where the conversations have got to be had.
Character and leadership as well.
You've lost a couple of players, and things haven't quite gone your way. And I think you needed that, in the sense that now you can reevaluate where your squad's at, and you can go to the ownership and go, right, we need a couple of players. Just depth. They don't have to be fantastic players, but they have to be good enough to fill in.
Do you know what it is? I looked at Norwich yesterday. They're not playing Billy Gilmore for whatever reason. Get him. Say to Chelsea. He's not getting game time. Yeah. We'll take him. Todd Cantwell has fallen out with Daniel Farker. He's not even training anymore. I listened to a Norwich preview. I didn't know any of this. People were saying, where is he? Why isn't he in the squad? Apparently him and Farker have had a falling out. He's another one.
Does Farker want the sack? Has he got a bet on or something?
This is what I don't understand, mate. So you don't take Billy Gilmore and then not play him, but I think he don't know what he's doing, does he?
I go to uni with a Norwich fan. I go to uni with a Norwich fan, and he was telling me today that that Farke's done, and they're getting tired of playing this. It is nice football, but you can't be nice if you're in a relegation scrap.
I don't even know, mate. I don't even know what it is. Every time they're playing a long ball to Sargent, and again, Leeds are just recouping it, and Cooper's winning every time. It used to be
keep the ball and kind of progress it forward quickly and quick transitions, but they're not doing that anymore. So I think Farke's time
is pretty much done. Really, it was all Buendia for me. I think it's like Villa without Grealish is almost like Norwich without Buendia. I just think they're nothing really, in all honesty, creativity wise.
Buendia is a good player though.
Look at it, Cal. Buendia's all that. We missed out on him. Buendia's rubbish.
He's not all that. Smith Rowe's better than him.
I think Richitsu is a good player.
I love Smith Rowe.
Yeah.
So.
They could.
Buendia's a big.
They just need a manager. That's all they need.
Yeah.
Genuinely, a manager who's going to galvanise those players and
get Big Sam in.
Guys, they want to get
not
again. Big Sam in.
Can't roll him out again.
Big Sam and Grant
Big Sam
and Grant Hanley would be like that, man. Telling you.
Has your Norwich friend ever told you that their model is to get relegated? Because I've heard this before, that their model
top
is
20.
Not this summer. They've spent their highest spend this summer, so I think they've actually gone all out and they've kind of got it wrong in the sense.
Do you know what though? As well, they still haven't spent the money they got in from Buendia.
They don't have much money though.
They spend a lot by their means, but still didn't spend.
They use it on sustaining the club, don't they? And I think with the ownership that are not as rich, they use other ways. But if they get a manager in, I still think they'll go down because I think they're too fickle. Unless they get some really good signings in January, which I don't think they will. I don't think they have the money to do it. So, but yeah,
Delia needs to get a new cookbook out, doesn't she? Basically, she needs to get back on TV, start mixing up some new recipes. Or maybe go full Nigella Lawson and start being a bit erotic with it. She might do better with the sales. I don't know.
Christmas is over around the corner.
Please no. I have to bleach my eyes.
Right, we haven't. We'll leave it there. I think we've done enough for tonight. It's been brilliant, great show, guys. Just on another relegation candidate, I'm convinced Rafa is wanting that Newcastle job because they're currently getting beat 2-0 by Wolves, which will put them 10th in the table. So maybe Rafa wants the sack. And then January comes and he takes the Newcastle job. We'll have to wait and see. Madder things have happened. Make sure you check out all the guys' channels. Henry, Oscar, Igal, Corey, thank you so much for coming on. Locks, I know you're watching this somewhere. You're an absolute bottle job. And I don't want to hear no excuses from you in WhatsApp. You have bottled it tonight. You have not just let me down. You've not let the lads down. You've let yourself down, mate. All right? You're a bottle job. But he's linked in the description as well. And we'll be back on Thursday. Go on, Igal. What are you saying? I'll let you have the last one for him.
When he loses to Leeds, he's going to bottle it again.
Yes, that's it. That's the one. I'll come for him. I'll come. And probably come with one of them daft poems again and get absolutely tortured. I swear. But we will leave it there. We'll be back on Thursday, guys, for your preview for the weekend's games. Then unfortunately we've got another international break, but we will do a team of the season so far during that time, and we promise Oscar we will.
Yes, we will.
No Pogba. He's gone.
Gallagher's making it this time. I know that much. Right, peace out, guys. Have a nice